Welcome to VG Club. I am not Paul. I am Chris. And we're not sure where he is, but we're hoping he joins us at some point while we're recording. But today I am joined by Javi,
Hey.
Ben,
Hey.
Marcus,
Hello.
and Grace.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about El Paso elsewhere.
That's where Dax is.
Yeah,
Elsewhere.
Elsewhere.
that is true. We're not sure where he's at. He is not here, so he is elsewhere. Maybe
Hold up,
he
I'll be
is
right back. I'm
fighting
gonna get in an elevator. You guys just wait for me.
You talking to your ex-girlfriend in there?
It's complicated. It's gonna take 50 levels to figure this one out.
Yes, as Marcus is alluding to, El Paso elsewhere, it is 50 levels that take place in I don't know where. It's in a hotel, a castle, a graveyard, a bunch of places that all kind of look the same. And to get there, you go through an elevator. It starts out in a hotel, though. And this guy, James Savage, he is on a mission to stop his ex-girlfriend, who is Dracula.
Dracula,
yes. And he has to kill a bunch of things that they say are vampires and werewolves. It's really just look like dogs and monsters. And occasionally these things called angels, which are I don't know, they don't look like angels. They look like timepieces in the air. And witches and a annoying puppet guy. The gameplay is very reminiscent of like Max Payne, in that it's a third-person shooter. You can freeze time. If you dive and you have stamina, it'll like slow down time as you go. Where'd you guys end up on it? Because I know where some of you ended up. I saw some of your comments over the
I saw
preceding
Grace's tweet,
weeks,
which
but-
made sense to me. I think it was it should have been half as long.
That's fair.
Just from the jump. I liked it well enough, but there wasn't enough variety to warrant the length that game was.
Yeah, and you brought up Grace's tweet. Grace, you want to want to chime in here? But
Yeah, no, I mean, that's really like I said, it takes like the first 25 levels just feel like they're just almost filler because like by the time you get to like, I think it literally is like level 25 is when that other voice just like starts talking to James like, oh, okay, there is kind of like a story here beyond there's this guy and this girl and you only have seen the guy so far. But like, oh, no, there's this demon or whatever. I don't remember what the story was with the voice that talks to him, but it's like, oh, there's more going on here. But it took so long to get there that it's like, by this point, I'm just ready to get to the climax. But yeah, other than the length, just kind of dragging on. I think we already kind of mentioned it. The variety is also just like, as far as everything. I mean, like the guns. There's a decent number of guns, but none of them feel all that different. I mean, you just spend every single level just walking through corridors, shooting things, and there's like 5 different things to shoot. and like we kind of mentioned that there's the hotel, the graveyard, castle. Like it's just those same levels, kind of remixed into different layouts, and sometimes occasionally like mashed together. Like you walk through a door in the hotel and be in the graveyard or something. So I mean, it's interesting, I guess, and that it has like a trippy, like just otherworldly feel to it, but it's also still just more of the same stuff you've already seen. So yeah, overall the game just like it falls flat on its face as far as not having enough variety to justify really anything that it does.
when each level is generally go and save or kill X amount of hostages that are on the level, and that'll unlock the exit, and then you can get to the end. Like it's all very linear, even if you can explore the levels however you want. I guess you can't even explore the levels however you want because you have to get keys too. So it's very old school in that.
Yeah, and the fact that like once you do actually like get all the save or kill all the hostages, you most of the time you're going back the way you came. So it's just like a repeat in reverse.
Javi, Ben, how did you feel about the gameplay here?
Well, I was playing on, I guess you could say controller, but I was playing on my Steam Deck. And aiming did take some time to like get used to. You had to mess with the sensitivity too to get it right, or feeling as best as you can. But I felt for the most part it was good. It was a snappy kind of action game, and it was definitely, like you said, like old school sensibilities in how it's designed. But I think I agree that the game kind of outstays its welcome, or like it doesn't have enough variety and interesting twists and gameplay loops and enemies to keep it going as long as it did. But I don't know. So I was happy to see this genre of game come back, and especially with such flair. Like it's such a colorful game, and the way that the lighting reacts, like when you're firing your gun and the muzzle flare just lights up the room, and there's sparks everywhere, and like all that stuff really is spectacular looking, especially with slow mo. So that kept me, entertained for the most part. And then I also am like vampires and werewolves and all that stuff is like bait for me. I love that stuff. So yeah, I mean, but I do agree also that they don't really feel like vampires. They're just saying they are, which is.
I felt they were vampires in the way that vampires in, what was that Will Smith movie?
I Am Legend.
Yeah, like they're kind of like zombie-ish. Like they just kind of like shuffle towards you.
Yeah.
They were faster in I Am Legend, but
yeah. But yeah, I didn't end up finishing the game. I played quite a bit of it. I don't remember what floor I was on, but yeah, I played a lot of it. I think I burnt out a little bit, and so in that sense, I can agree that it didn't keep me engaged enough to see it through. But I did enjoy what I played, and I do like the visual aesthetic. I just think it could use a little bit more variety.
Ben, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same with everybody. I do like the game. I think it was fun to play. But I think it does kind of just outstay its welcome. Like every level or every section kind of just feels like it's a little bit too long. I feel like if they could cut this game down to like 24 levels and just cut a bunch of stuff out of it, it would be a much like tighter experience, because there is a lot of stuff that's kind of interesting in it. Like, yeah, a lot of the levels are kind of bland at times, or you're just doing the same stuff. But like, there's a lot of there is some interesting variety to it, of like some weird trippy stuff of just like hallways that kind of like stretch and expand in front of you, or like there was one level where you like went through like infinite doorways for like a really long time. Like they do interesting stuff to kind of spice it up, but it's kind of just few and far between, and like the giant 50 levels that they have here. So I think if they just shortened it up, it would have been better. But overall, I did like it, essentially.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that, Ben. That they like have some cool ideas in it, and either they don't flesh them out or they never return to them. Like the whole diving slow-mo mechanic. Like there's a couple times where you have to like dive through windows or over desks or something to get to another area, but that's it. Then it's like you don't really need to dive around, because you can just slow down time by pressing a button. So you don't need to do the dive, except in those like 2 or 3 levels, and then like the cool things with the infinite doorways, and like they don't expand on some stuff, and they maybe overstay their welcome on the general gameplay.
Yeah. On the gameplay front, I think that the melee attack specifically feels pretty terrible.
The stakes.
Yeah, the stakes. It just like happens instantaneously, which I guess is good, because you want it to be, you want it to feel like it's happening when you press the button. But like, there's something missing there. It just doesn't have an impact. I don't know. There's something that's not connecting. That doesn't feel satisfying. It doesn't feel right, in my opinion.
Did you guys ever like stake a group of enemies that came up to you? You'll kill them all at once?
Oh yeah. I partially did that just to get that achievement for staking a bunch of people, because, sort of like Javi was saying, otherwise I wasn't really doing it, because it was like a last resort. Oh, all my guns aren't like reloaded. I just need to fucking survive this encounter. But like the fact that the game then went ahead and said, okay, so for a lot of the boss encounters or mini boss encounters, like you're gonna need a stake. And like while I appreciate them trying to force you to use that mechanic, I guess I'm sort of in with Javi there, where it's just it feels a little off. I don't know if it's because you have to get so close to them and then you can't really see anything happen, and then it's like, okay, like did I stake them? Because some enemies will go down with like one stake, but those bigger guys like they won't, and so it's a little harder to tell. Like, did it happen? Did I do it? And so I'll use 4 or 5 stakes, just like pressing the button, hoping something's gonna change with that. Going back a little bit to those like mechanics that were brought up and not really touched on again, I completely forgot because like I restarted the game almost as soon as finishing it just to wrap up those last couple achievements I was really close to before I deleted this game forever. And it was you can dive through and break furniture to get more stakes, and they give you so many throughout the rest of the game that like I completely forgot that was a thing you could do, and so I just never did it.
And there's also the combat roll. Like I used it in the Pharaoh boss because you pretty much have to, but otherwise I completely forgot that you could roll. It never comes into play at all.
I similar to Marcus, I went back and cleaned up, and that's what I just was like pressing just rolling through the level to get the achievement. Or the dive, like that's one too.
Yeah, I wonder if what would improve the melee feel would be like if it snaps you to like whatever enemy you're looking at and it plays like a whole like wind up stake in the heart animation. I know that would slow things down tremendously, but
oh yeah,
like,
I would have hated that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like currently it almost feels like a shotgun blast, like at a very short range right in front of you. It just like instantaneously puts damage in front of you, bah! And then the enemy just disappears or falls down. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like you said, Javi. There's no weight to it, so it's just like
this,
like you just swat and they die, and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with Marcus though. If like there was like that animation to give it that oomph, like I think it would have slowed the game. But everyone would have been like, this sucks because like then the game is just slow because you would never use it because you don't want to slow it down.
Yeah, maybe it might be. I mean, I'm thinking something like the chainsaw in Gears of War, where like you use it sparingly, but it is a good way to deal with someone that's in your face. But you'd have to like restructure how the game works to support something like that.
That makes sense.
I guess for me, I would prefer something like you thrust forward a little bit with it, and there's like a little effect, like a little speed line effect or whatever, to sort of show the impact of that.
Oh,
because
sure.
you only get 5 of these things, so it's not like again pretending the whole plethora of them scattered across the level and apparently all the furniture too. But like just you only have 5 at one time, so it's like okay, you can only use this every now and then. Yeah, let's make it impressive. Let's make it like a thing that matters and a thing that a vampire hunter that he is at this point in the game like would be doing and just really play that up.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have played the Buffy video games, but like the way those use stakes, I liked a lot. Like you kind of need to beat up the enemies until they're stakeable, and then from that point on, you can actually like lock onto them in the original game and throw the stake like a spear, and it'll go through them, or you can knock them to the ground and stake them, or stake them in the middle of a combo. But like it was a good like finishing move that was really satisfying. I think that might have been more interesting.
So was that game like a brawler?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a brawler is the right way to describe it. There's 2 of them. I think the first one that was only on the original Xbox is better than the sequel, but they're both decent.
I'll have to look into that. Javi's recommendation is normally good. I played that Dead to Rights game that you suggested. That was fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Stupid, but it was fun.
Yeah. I mean, I was a GameCube kid, so I don't think Max Payne made it to the GameCube, and so Dead to Rights was all I had.
This definitely plays. There's a reverence for Max Payne here, because like there's the pills that you use to regain health. The whole noir kind of storytelling to this. Did you guys collect any of the radios with Pill Cop?
Yeah, I
I
found
think
some
I
of
got
the.
one.
Yeah, just a
Sounds
couple.
Yeah, a few here and there.
Yeah, the storyline in that is pretty funny if you follow it through. I think there's like 5 of them, and it's absolutely absurd, and very reminiscent of Max Payne, where you would go and they had like the TV shows that you would be able to find. That this game clearly did not have a budget to have FMV in it, but see, all the characters look like sack people.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of the story here? It seems like something like Ben, you and Javi did not finish it, I think. But so how far did you guys get? And what did you think of the story up to that point? And then I guess Grace, Marcus will discuss the closeout of it.
I think I ended up finishing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I beat it like 2 days ago, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, it was interesting. Like there was near the end of it was kind of interesting. It took a while to really get there to like any actual story. I think the like relationship between him and his girlfriend, or like the almost like borderline abusive relationship that they had together, was like kind of weirdly deep and dark. But for a game that has such a silly premise, but yeah, I think it was kind of, I don't know, it was weirdly like had a weird like tonal shift near the end of the game.
Oh, for sure. Javi, how far did you make it into the game?
I couldn't really tell you how far I was because I don't know the floor that I was on, but like things were starting to get kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember exactly what was the last thing that happened, but it had been looping on itself, I think, like where you found yourself back at the hotel or motel entrance or something. Oh, that might have happened a while back. I couldn't tell you, but I think I got a sizable way through the game. Things were getting a little bit more interesting. I do think that the premise is like really fun and like kind of the perfect kind of schlocky, I don't know, kind of the kind of story you don't really see anymore in games. And I appreciate that it's so earnest. Like it's not like winking at the camera at any point. The game's just kind of like, this is what it is. I was at
my girlfriend is going to try and destroy the world. I am just going to go to this hotel and stop her.
Yeah, and he keeps talking about like, I'm not going to survive the night. Who cares? Just take pills to get where I need to go. I was at PAX last year, PAX West, and I was at a panel, and the like director and the guy that voiced the main character, his name is Xavier Nelson. He was at a panel, and they were talking about the best games at PAX, and his upcoming game came up, which I don't think he had officially announced yet. I mean, no, he had, because there was a demo available. But anyways, he's like, yeah, it's like a Max Payne, it's like a Max Payne style game where you fight vampires and this and that. And I'm like, my ears lit up. I'm like, what? That is like my dream. Like, what are you? I went up to him after the panel. And I was like, when's your game out? And it was like a month or two from then. I was like, holy shit. So I was like, this is number one priority to check out this game. But yeah, no, I didn't see. I have no idea where the story lands in the end, but I do enjoy the premise. I think it's a fun, crazy, high concept thing.
I think the thing, Javi, is you do know where the story lands in the end. It doesn't really take you for any real swerves as far as the ending point. But I'd agree that with that sort of earnestness that it's all presented with. Excuse me. It is, I don't know. It was like really endearing, and to have someone, because it's a little tough with the vampire aspect of it to know like what's a metaphor for some other sort of like more real life behavior, and what's something that is specifically for this sort of like lore and the world that they're in. Had a little bit a hard time discerning between the two every now and then, but just it being this examination of the relationship first in the sort of early days of them getting together and them opening up to each other, and then as it starts to sour, and how he he latches on to like that one good day to sort of keep him going through the rest of their shitty relationship.
Mhm.
Stuff like that, I don't know, I think it rings true because there is those emotional cores to that, where those like emotional truths there, where it's like, yep, that happens to people. You've heard it. Sometimes you might have lived through it, and it's just like, yep, you get it. And to have that presented alongside, like, he's doing the music in this game too, and like some levels are themed around like that music, and it's pumping in the background, and it all just feels like a really like personal story that he's delivering here. And so I think that for me is the high point of the experience.
Yeah, that was something that came up too at that panel, was that like they created an entirely like original rap album to come with this game, that's about the game, right? And I think he also sings in those as well, or raps in them. But yeah, I mean, this studio, Strange Scaffold, like, to go from the type of games that they were making to something like this is pretty nuts, because they made Airport for Aliens, Run by Dogs, which is a bit more kind of like a visual novel style thing, and then Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, which is kind of like it's like, these are menu games, right? These are games where like you're reading a lot of text and you're clicking on buttons, but it's not like gameplay. And El Paso Elsewhere is like capital G gameplay, like shooting game, third person shooter, with slow-mo and all that. So like, what a departure and what a ambitious project for the studio to take on. And I think with that context, it's super impressive what they did here.
Grace, what do you think about how this played out?
So like I kind of said at the beginning, it kind of drags, but that was because like I've never played like Max Payne. I've never really gotten into like the noir genre. So like this first, half of the game, he's just like monologuing in an elevator, talking in metaphors. And I'm just like, is this what noir is? Because I don't think I like it. So I have no idea what he was talking about most of the time. But as we kind of mentioned, like later on, when like Dracula starts to show up in the elevator and that kind of thing, and it really digs into their relationship. It's just kind of how messed up it really was. That's when it does get a little bit more interesting. Of course, as Marcus said, it doesn't like throw any curveballs at you. It's just like, oh yeah, he's there to, either talk her down or kill her. He's gonna do one or the other. Like there's nothing surprising about it. But I mean, you do start to feel a little bit of, empathy for the characters, I guess, especially at some of the later levels. Like as you're playing, James is talking to himself, like, just a few more steps, just let me get to the end, like that kind of thing. Like he knows his time is up, and he's just, he really just wants to finish this one big thing before he, succumbs to, I guess, his injuries plus the addiction, all that kind of stuff. It plays out, well enough, but it's also, like I said, it takes a long time to get there, and it ends pretty predictably. So it's not bad by any measure, but it's good enough. I'll say that. Like it fits. It works well with the world they're building, with the kind of tone they're trying to set, and as we mentioned, like it's really it's honest about what it is, so that's always a good thing. But it's nothing amazing. And I also will say that, like, by the time I got about halfway into the story, I was just like ready for it to be over. And the only reason I finished the game was because I like turned like the damage modifier like all the way down and like put infinite ammo on it. Just blew through the last few levels. So I was kind of like on autopilot for some of it, but for the parts that I was awake, I enjoyed it.
Good voice acting. Go ahead, Javi.
Everybody keeps saying it ends exactly how you expect it to, and I'm not sure how I would expect it to end. I feel like I have two possible scenarios that are like the most basic ways this could go.
Lay them out, Javi.
Yeah. One of them is that you fight Dracula at the end, final boss, and then the final cutscene after you beat her. Either she redeems herself and stops the end of the world, and you save the world, and maybe he dies there, kind of like how he keeps telling you he's going to, and he's like, "I did it, yay!" Or he somehow cures her of her vampirism, and they live happily ever after, or they both die horribly. It's one of those three.
Let's go with option 3.
Okay.
It ends how like a lot of like these type of action movies end, with like the hero and the villain lying on the ground,
Gotcha.
both beaten to within an inch of their life. One of them maybe dying right then, and the other one you don't know if they're going to survive. But there are 2 endings here. I don't know. I'm assuming that all of us that finished got the good ending. Which I don't know. I kind of feel is the bad ending, but where she gives the vial of, I guess, the essence of her vampirism to him, so that he can if he consumes it, he can continue to live. But
Sequel,
also become
baby.
as bitter as she is. The other ending is that she breaks the vial, and he dies there in the basement. So I assume that's what you guys got. The good ending.
Yeah, I forgot there was 2. Yeah, I got the one where she just gives it to him.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I wasn't going back to kill all the hostages to get
Because there's no reason, like, the game never gives you any sort of motivation for killing the hostages. They're hostages. Why wouldn't you be trying to save them if your whole purpose for being here is trying to save the world?
I didn't even know
did
you could
accidentally
kill
kill. There's an achievement for killing 5 of them, and I accidentally did kill a few of them, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm 60% of the way to get this achievement."
That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
Just mark the other 2, but
Okay.
yeah, like I don't know why you would kill them.
Yeah, I accidentally killed one, and it was like, okay, I guess I'm restarting from the checkpoint.
That's exactly what it was. Like, I didn't know you could kill them until I accidentally did it. I was like, oh, that's a thing.
And Paul is here as well.
Yeah, sorry for screwing up the time. I
No,
set
no
an
worries.
alarm for like 12:52 my time because I'm like, oh, we're recording at 1 o'clock. That makes sense, right? And then I saw Grace's message and was like, oh, I screwed up big time.
No worries. What did I mean? We're almost done talking about it. But what did you think of the game? Or we're not sure how far you got into it, but what do you think of El Paso Elsewhere?
Um, so I don't know if you guys saw this meme going around. It's kind of like that scene from, I guess, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, where he's in the bar and it's just like the like other guys like, so what? You're telling me you want a game with worse graphics? The employees get treated better, all that stuff, and the Joker's like, yeah, totally. And I feel like that's kind of this, because it's kind of like an homage, I guess, to the original Max Payne. I
Yeah.
feel like it didn't. I guess, granted, I've never played the original Max Payne, but I thought it looked better than this. But
Oh, it does. The original Max Payne looks better than this. Yes.
okay, so yeah, I guess it's kind of more like PS1 graphics, kind of like that era. But yeah, no. Overall, it was really fun. I didn't get around to finishing it, but I had a lot more fun with the game than I thought it was going to be. It was more kind of like arcadey than I thought. I thought it would be more kind of like set piece.
That's fair. I'm glad you liked it. I was really concerned. You were like the one person. It's like Dax is going to hate this.
Well, where into the story did you get Dax? Because I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, the game's fine for a while, and then it keeps going.
Yeah, no. That I kind of procrastinated starting this game until yesterday, so I think I only got like 3 hours in.
That's a good chunk.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, the game has a good sense of humor. Like I remember just like completing one level, and he's just like sitting on a bed, silence, and then he's just like, "Was there a fucking werewolf in that bathroom?"
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, it's the gameplay does not progress much more than probably what you've seen. So
Yeah, I got the shotgun. I didn't unlock the third weapon, which I'm guessing is kind of akin to what, an AK-47.
Yeah. Oh, you're real early. I don't even know
yeah,
if that's 3 hours then.
Okay, maybe 2 hours.
yeah. There's what, seven or eight weapons. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you don't get some of them until like very late, and like there's like a rocket launcher you get pretty late in the game. But
Yeah, I was just going off of the tutorial. Like it gave you like three weapons, so I thought that was all you had in the game.
yeah, so there's the pistols, which you always have, shotgun, Uzi. There's like a rifle, like a hunting rifle type thing.
Molotov.
The Molotov, the rocket launcher, or something else too. I think I'm missing one.
Like a Tommy gun, basically.
Oh yeah, the repeater. Yeah,
Wasn't that just that's not the AR? Are those different?
that is. There's like a hunting rifle as well though. So there's two. There's the repeater, which is it's like the assault rifle, and then the hunting rifle, which
The
doesn't
goat.
have a scope. So it's
Yeah,
just
you
a
don't
really
need one.
slow
Just need that
shot.
dot.
Yeah. It's
Snipe
pretty
those angels
impressive.
out from the other
Mhm.
side of the level. It's easy.
So I do like that a lot of them don't have ceilings, so if you see an angel, you can shoot them from the other room.
Oh, nice.
All right, do you guys have any
Yeah,
final
the entire
thoughts?
time I
Go
was
ahead, Max.
Oh, I was just gonna say the entire time I was playing, which I guess wasn't as long as you guys, but I was just like, "Oh my god, is this like a drug-induced hallucination?" And I'm just like accidentally shooting up a hotel full of people. That's what I was kind of afraid was going to be the ending.
No, that is
I-
funny. That would be amusing.
Those thoughts crossed my mind too. I will say that.
Well,
because, like,
it's just like when you walk in originally, like you can walk into a room and it's just like, "Are you here against your will?" And then the guy's like, "Did Mistress send you to humiliate me?" And he's just like, "I am clearly in the wrong place," and he's like, run out the door.
Yeah,
So
like
I
some of the-
thought that. Okay, sorry. I was just saying. I was like, I thought that it was like a sign that oh shit, is this all in his head?
yeah, like the other thing that does is like one of the later levels is like a meat processing plant. So it's kind of like it doesn't fit in any sort of way with like the previous levels. So it's kind of like, oh, is he just like wandering around this town
Just killing everybody.
Well, but that's another one of those fun points in the narrative for like he's trying to work out because all these places mean something that like they all had some sort of like relevance to either Dracula or like himself,
Right.
and he was just trying to figure out like what the fuck's going on with the that meat like, and I think he eventually worked it out. I can't even remember what his conclusion was for that, but it was a little bit of a stretch, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, he does work it out. It's some crazy thing, but yeah, like at first it's just like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The meat packing of that whole area, I think, is what Javi was talking about with the lighting from the guns. Like that is where I think it shines the best, because that's like some of those are the darkest levels in the game.
Yeah.
And so that the gun blast lighting shit up is really neat.
I think that they underutilized how beautiful the game looks. Like they could have, I don't know, I guess it's a matter of budget probably, but like there's a lot of opportunity for some really good horror sections or some slower paced kind of more curated like areas that you go through, because it just stayed more or less the same kind of go shoot next room, get the key, like it never slowed down much.
Near the end, there is a level where it's like super dark, and you're sort of having to sort of carefully navigate your way, because they still place the enemies around, but you can't see shit unless you're firing. So you're just sort of you're sort of
Nice.
encouraged to like inch forward a bit and then use your your gunfire to like illuminate where shit is and where your next path forward is. It's
That's
not
cool.
like we mentioned with a lot of the other gameplay mechanics. It's not something that goes on for a long time or is probably utilized as best as it can be. But I think they did try something like that.
Oh, that's good. Cool. I do think the PS1 style graphics, I'm personally a big fan of. Like, I think it should, like, how do I put this? I always go to like Metal Gear Solid 1 as like a perfect example of how those PS1 graphics are hitting just the right level of fidelity to where like you still have to use your imagination, because like these faces are just a couple of pixels, and so you have to like fill in the gaps of what does this person actually look like, or maybe you just like take it for what it looks like. But it, for me at least, it creates much more of a connection than like a fully super high resolution realistic looking person. It's why like any figurine of Solid Snake from the first game looks wrong. That's not that to me. I'm like, that's not what his face looks like, and I couldn't tell you what his face looks like because it's just a bunch of pixels. But anyways, yeah, like I'm really fond of that graphical style, and I think that being able to take those graphics and then build like a full-fledged like Max Payne style slow motion diving bullet game with those graphics, it's really cool to me, like to see something that presents itself as so simple and then be able to like do interesting gameplay on that level that you probably couldn't do on PS1. I'm a fan of it, especially for such an indie studio. Like if this is what your graphics need to be at for you to be able to pull off interesting bigger games like this, I'm so down for it. Like I think it's actually really charming and creative.
I think in some ways it's also meant to like kind of evoke like the box art of the games that inspired it. Because if you look at the box art of like Max Payne and Dead to Rights, like their faces are just kind of like obscured by shadow. So it's kind of like when you look at him, it looks kind of like the same way. Like there's just like this black like shadow around his eyes, and you kind of see his mouth. That's about it. Like it kind of evokes that imagery to me.
Yeah, no, I see that. Cool idea.
Honestly, Javi, I think because the game seems to sort of click with you a little bit more. Again, it still suffers from that repetition. It might be like beneficial to just do it a couple levels at a time, like spread out over a really long period of time, just so it like doesn't outstay its welcome, but you still get a little bit of taste of that sort of gameplay, because like I mentioned, it does do some stuff. Did you get to the point where they like take your guns?
I think that sounds familiar. Pretty sure where you have to use just stakes.
Yeah, sort of, and like you have to rebuild your arsenal.
Right.
Maybe not
the first boss.
The first boss, I definitely did a first boss. So,
yeah, like the Pharaoh guy.
Okay, then yes, I've done that.
Okay, because like for me that was and it was also one of those things where I thought like, oh yeah, I'm real near the end. Like here's like some big shit, because like the world's going crazy at that point, and all of that arsenal you've been relying on up until this point has gone. And so, hey, that's the same amount of enemies you were facing before, but now you're nowhere near as well equipped to deal with them, and you have to sort of just try to avoid and make as good of a use of like your pistol as you can with limited ammo. So you have to make every shot count at that point. And so it's really like shifting what they're doing with, again, sort of the same tools, really Taco Bell menuing it up. But like it's something I thought was really cool to try to like sort of parkour your way through the level to try and get to any sort of weapon that can actually make you useful again. When I finally got my hunting rifle back, I was just like, oh, you guys are in trouble now. And it stuff like that I thought was like really great. It's just then I played like 15 more levels after that, and it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I think the limitations of, it being such a small studio and probably a tiny, tiny budget, I think this game stretched them as far as they could. Like, this was like an all or nothing Hail Mary for the studio. If this didn't do well, then, who knows what would happen. But I I would have loved to see what this game would look like if it could do more than a rinse repeat. Like every single stage, you can see the spotlight, and you're working your way towards it, and all the levels. There's some variety, like with the meat plant and all that, and the graveyard. Like they're doing some theming here and there, but they do largely feel like reskins of the same basic structure, because they are. And I think having a little bit more variety and more open areas might have been much more interesting, and a way to like make the game more varied. I feel like there wasn't a lot of, I guess for lack of a better word, like level design. There's not like, oh, now you're in I don't know, like a hospital, and there's different floors, and maybe I'm thinking of more like a Silent Hill kind of deal, where it's like you're getting keys and you're solving the puzzle of this big space. There wasn't anything like that. It was largely just flat level, work your way, because like you said, there's no ceiling, so you can always kind of see your goal, which is a neat idea. But like when that's the entire game, like you kind of would like some variety there. But
They could have cut like 20 levels out.
Yeah.
And just tightened it up a little bit more. And I think we all came away going, this is pretty fun for the most part. It's just, maybe it extends itself a little bit too much. I think they could have just trimmed it down by about 20 levels.
Yeah.
And then it would have been, instead of like a 8 to 10 hour game, it ends up being like maybe a 3 to 6 hour game. And everything is more fresh. Like all of those like cool ideas they introduce, just you keep getting them over and over again until you get to the end, where it's like, oh, okay, that was fun.
Yeah.
I am glad that it seemed that we mostly liked it, though. You never know when you pick an indie title that's new and like doesn't have a pedigree behind it. But I'm glad that for the most part we seem to come away going, that was fun enough.
I think it's cool. It was a really special kind of unique thing that you don't get a lot of, and especially like they were smart to get this out before the remake of Max Payne is out, so that's not completely
definitely
overshadowed.
Yeah.
It's like a little appetizer. but
But
I think they saw a gap in the industry at this moment, and they filled it, which is nice.
If you're interested in more El Paso, they do have a prequel game called El Paso Nightmare that is it's a first-person shooter.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear about that.
It's very short, so it's not going to have the same problem as this one.
Yeah, it's actually
only $5 too. Huh.
Yeah, it as Javi said, super short, and it's actually designed around like a replayability to it. Like so, like it's kind of becomes like a horde mode at some point that you're just going through, but it does have like a neat little story that you can play through. So, and a different perspective.
I'll look into that some. I just completely had never heard about it. Speaking about the story, though, I just wanted to go back a little bit, and sorry to Javi and Dax, but this is about the ending. When you're talking about the good ending and the bad ending, so the reason I think it's supposed to be the good ending, because essentially what that end there is, them sort of coming at that crossroads, and so much of the game has been him sort of dealing with this breakup, and I think what that ending is more sort of like pointing towards, it's just like, okay, she did a lot of fucked up shit to you, and I'm sure you weren't great in this thing either. Now what? And that's why the bad ending is, yep, you give up, like you just let this define you forever, and that's all. While the good ending is, yeah, you've had this shit happen to you, and you have to carry that with you, and that's sort of what the becoming a vampire bit is. But he's also talking about, but what else can you do? What other good can you do in this world on top of that? You're not just this one thing. You can do more besides that.
That's a fair interpretation.
Damn, that's deep.
All right, Grace, you're up. What are we choosing from for next time out?
Yeah, could have already done this, but
all right. So Prototype, Saints Row the Third, Oddworld New and Tasty,
Which one's that?
It's the remake of the original.
Yeah,
believe.
It's a remake of Abe's Odyssey, which was on PS1.
Crash Bandicoot 4 and Steam World West. Those are the 5.
Enforce the It's About Time?
Yep.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, I should have typed that. I was just trying to get it out really quick.
Freaking Prototype.
I will say right now that it's not for everybody. So if you want to overlook that one, that's fine. I felt like replaying it. I can do that anyway. So
I was a big Hulk Ultimate Destruction guy, and was excited about Prototype. It's fine. It just has one of the. You know how these open world games always have like the map sprinkled with collectibles? And Prototype has the same deal, except for you can't see them at a certain distance. And so you have to be close enough to them for them to show up. And it's just impossible to find them all. Like there's just no way.
Prototype's the one that came out like at the same time as Infamous, and there was like that weird thing with that. I never played.
So yeah, that was 2008, 2009, whenever Infamous came out.
Rough time to release like open world superhero game when Infamous was so good.
Didn't a similar thing happen with the sequel? Although I think a little more removed.
Oh, maybe.
yeah, I don't know. I can't even remember when the sequel came out. It got the Activision marketing, which means it didn't get any marketing. So
I want to say it was like 2010, which is like a little bit after Infamous 2, and that one was even like Infamous 2 was more of a step up from Infamous than Prototype 2 was from Prototype 1. So the gulf between the two games just got like larger, and it was just like, oh no, I'm sorry, Prototype.
Yeah, so Infamous 2 was 2011 and Prototype 2 was like roughly a year later, little less than a year later.
Okay. So a little bit later than I thought, but yeah.
And I remember Prototype was an interesting one because the protagonist is not really a good guy at all. Like you just like murder people left and right. And then Prototype 2 came out, and the protagonist from the first one, Alex Mercer, somehow I remember that name, is the villain. So you're in Prototype 2, you're hunting down the protagonist from the first game,
which is always
Kinda
fun.
weird. Yeah.
Well, it does not look like we're going to play Prototype. SteamWorld Quest here with four votes seems to be what we're going to play. What I voted for it, but I'm not sure what is SteamWorld Quest.
Same.
Yeah.
It's a turn-based RPG where you use you have a deck set up and it randomly chooses cards out of your deck and you battle using those cards.
I fucked up so hard.
Basic ways.
Yeah, why'd you vote for that?
I'm so sorry. I thought it was more like I don't even know.
You can still change it. You can go with Crash Bandicoot 4.
Yeah, I
already
Crash,
did.
Though.
You can change it, that's fine, but let me back up and say
You can vote twice for Crash 4.
No.
That's how it works, right?
No, I live with my mistakes.
Can I vote twice for Prototype?
I generally did not like card-based games, but I really love this game, so I don't know if that means anything because I have weird taste in games, but I'm putting it out there. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Well, that's the thing, is that it got good reviews, so that's why I'm like interested in it.
I'm
sure it's good.
A quick second, so this is an excuse to play it. So I'm down.
All of the SteamWorld games are excellent. I'm sure it's great. But we all missed the opportunity to step into the shoes of Alex Mercer for one last time, you know?
All right.
We'll be back, Javi. Just you wait.
He'll be back.
I can put it in the next time I pick. Maybe by then.
Grace just keeps throwing Prototype in there till we choose it.
So my strategy with SSX?
Yeah. You keep throwing it in there, and I will play SSX.
Oh, and I will never vote for that one.
Boo.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
I don't even like sports games.
Which SSX are we talking about?
2011 one, the one that came out on PS3 and 360.
The green cover, the reboot of the series.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
it's no tricky, but it's probably the second best SSX, I would say.
All right, so we're gonna play SteamWorld Quest next time. And next time Paul will host again. not me. So,
Thank
Zach,
you for
wanna sign
filling
us
in.
off?
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you so much, Chris, for being the substitute teacher today. I do very much appreciate it. And yeah, that was our episode on El Paso Elsewhere. And yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye.
Just cause he black don't mean he a DJ. Just cause he on stage don't mean you chant what he say. Tie your club and started to pulsate. I raced for the door like a floodgate. Entrance hall, it began to glow. I get wise and dive to the flow. Guy runs over, panting and thrown. Spikes shoot out, spears through his dome. Windows blink as club starts to rise. Neon signs are pupils and eyes. Voodoo master claps for the cries as chanting NASA sees up and ride. Nigga really made this place grow some feet. Baba Yaga transforming beat. Building strides and takes to the street as new beast finds new hungers to treat. I'm not getting out of this monster club, baby. You not getting out of this monster club, baby. We not getting out of this monster club. We not getting out. We not getting out. We not getting out.